Hi Moonies! Welcome to the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast. I'm your host, Victoria L. Johnson, and I'm here with Constance Gibbs. She's the editor for Black Girls Create, a kids magazine writer, and co-host of the Doctor Who podcast, Tarbis. Super excited. Have her, Sailor Moon fan. Yeah, this is going to be awesome. Hey, Connie.
Hello. Very excited to be here. As a Black Sailor Moonie, I was just like, I'm sorry, there's a what? I was very excited when I heard about this podcast. So excited to finally be on it.
You know, I don't know why I never thought of like Black Sailor Moon fans like being a group that needed representation, but I'm so happy.
Me neither. I was like, I always thought it was just me.
I'm so happy I'm like contributing to this.
Yeah.
Yay. Well, I'm happy you found us, and I'm happy, you know, we found you. Or I found you. You found me.
Yeah, I forgot how.
Yeah. Oh, I think you reached out because you actually did a Q&A on me with on Black Girls Create in May.
Yeah, but I don't remember why I found you.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because like I saw that the podcast and I was like, oh, this is perfect timing, but I don't remember how I found that you and the podcast even existed. Because I saw it like I think after the first episode came out or something.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh great, that's would be a perfect person to have for Black Girls Create. So
yeah. I guess it must have been some random tweet, most likely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm cool with it. But so I usually ask everyone, what's your first memory of watching Sailor Moon?
At some point in 1998 probably, and I specifically remember because it's like my grandpa died the following year, and so my grandmother would be like go to the hospital after school. Like when I would come home from school, she would go visit him at the hospital, and so I would be home and it would be like 4:00 and Sailor Moon would be on, and so that's what I remember is just like sitting down in front of the TV and Toonami, and there's twirling sparkly girls and they're also princesses, and yeah, that's my first memory of that, just like sitting in front of my grandma's TV. Like it was, you know, we only had the one TV, and so it was one of the few things that I could, you know, like I got the 4:00 hour. So, you know, after Sailor Moon and like whatever came on at 4:30 was over, it's back to like ABC News or whatever. But right. I got the 4:00 hour, so that became Sailor Moon time. Yeah.
Oh man, I feel like everyone should have a Sailor Moon time.
A Sailor Moon time, man. It's beneficial.
Yeah. Oh man, that is. I'm guessing was that a Toonami? Maybe?
Yeah.
'Cause 4:00. Yeah.
Yeah, the Toonami block.
Oh, nice. So you just really like got in, got out, got my Sailor Moon fix.
Yeah, and then I know that like, I mean, I was watching it, and I think it was like right before they like started airing R. So I feel like I was like watching R as they were like airing episodes live, and then I, you know, watched it until they didn't have any more.
Yeah, it was kind of just gone.
Yeah, it's like, oh wait, there's no more. Okay, and I, you know, as a child of the internet, I was just like, oh, I know things. You know, like you feel like real special because back in the day, it's like it was obviously not as like prevalent to know information about this kind of like back behind the scenes stuff, but it's just like, well, they didn't air it because it was a little gay, and they were like, I don't know. I don't know if we should air this in America. And like, it took me a while to like, you know, find out like super detailed, but I was just like, oh, okay. And then I was just like, well, maybe they will. And then no, they just never gave it to us until now.
I often think about how the writer's room was when they tried to think about dubbing stars.
What do we do? Like
how do we do this?
What could we do? So we made them cousins, but like could maybe it's like two of them and they're separate people. Like maybe the Sailor Starlights are just like there are 6 of them. It's not 3, it's 6.
They switch places.
Yeah, they switch places. Maybe that's okay, we can't no and then it's like okay, but she's just naked in the entire finale, so okay, forget it, we can't do this.
Just scrap it all.
We can't do it.
Like they probably really tried, and
I bet they did.
Nope, we just can't. We cannot censor this.
They will not air this.
Yeah. But back to R, I guess, or I guess the whole series. Do you have a favorite senshi?
Okay, so I think because you never want to go with like the basic one. You always want to be like, I'm my favorite for a very long time, and it still is Sailor Saturn. I love her very much. I love purple. I love that she's like this tiny goddess of destruction and death. I feel like we don't get enough of her, and I wish we got more. And like, she's just like this sad kind of tragic girl, and when you're a tween and a teen, you like identify with that part. But the older I get, the more I realize how much Sailor Moon like imprinted on my personality. Like there are so many things. It's just like she's she's a Hufflepuff. She's just like, I can see the good in everything. I just want everyone to be friends and harmony, and like all my like personality type things, MBTI stuff, and like Enneagram 9, and INFJ. Like she's very much those things. And I like, even like food stuff, I'm just like, I'm just eating this delicious snack, and I'm just like bouncing or whatever. And then I have a cousin who is she just turned 14, and it's just like she's my little like chibi moon kind of. And so it's realizing that kind of thing more. I'm just like kind of making her in my image, but she's very different from me still. And at one point for Christmas, I like got a commission of like the two of us as Sailor Moon and Sailor Chibi Moon. So I have two, so it's those two. It's Sailor Saturn and Sailor Moon, because she had a much bigger influence on my life and my personality than I ever thought.
Yeah, no, I also had that awakening because I watched the same thing during the Toonami block in like 98, 97.
Yeah,
and then I finally got to rewatch it. Like I think my first year of high school, I want to say. I bought like bootleg DVDs like randomly throughout like middle school and high school.
I still have a bunch of VHSs from the original dub.
Awesome.
I probably won't watch them again now that I've like watched the redub, but it's just like fun. It's good to have them. Like I moved last year, and my brother was like, why do you have all these VHSs? Like, you don't even I do have a VCR player, but he was right. I should throw out my Disney movies that I don't need anymore. But I was like, I'm keeping the Sailor Moon ones.
Yes, you should.
those you can't get those anywhere.
I still have my Disney ones and my Disney ones, and I'm sad because I actually gave my cousin a bunch of my Disney ones, and I'm really sad. But I kept a few of them, and I'm like, I should have kept all of them.
Right. Those are art. Memorabilia archive.
Yeah, especially those VHS. They like put so much attention into those like covers, the little plastic thing.
Yeah.
I love that.
The Sailor Moon R movie.
So pretty.
We'll get into it later, but that's probably my favorite thing.
Ooh, oh yeah, we never asked someone their favorite movie, so yeah, we'll get into that too. That is cool though. But yeah, during that rewatch though, I think it was sometime between middle and high school, around that era. I was like, did I just take my whole personality from because also like love food, like also want everyone to be happy and like get along. And just like everything about her, I was just like, oh my god.
And just like dreaming of being like a princess and a superhero. Like those are both things that you grab it. Like sometimes some girls pick one or the other, but she's both. And it's like, yeah, you can be both.
Right. And I've always wanted to be both.
Yep.
Yeah, so I totally get that. I think the only difference has always been that I was never as bad at school as she was.
Yeah, me neither. But, I feel like I have a bit of the drama about it, but I was never actually as bad as that. It was just like I kept getting into like harder schools, and so it was just like, ugh, why?
Just failing up.
Exactly. It's just like, ugh, why do you call me smart? Stop putting me in these advanced schools. Now I'm not smart anymore.
I got so mad one time. I tried to take a like lower level class, but because of the score I got on my the exams that we had, the yearly exams in Florida, they were the FCAT. They were like, oh, actually, you can't take this class. And I was like, what do you mean I can't take this class? They're like, yeah, you have to take like the advanced. And I'm like, but I don't want to.
And I feel like that's also part of it. It's just like Ami is very much like the smart girl, and so if you were the smart girl, it's just like, yeah, Ami, but I'm like, I don't really like water like that. I'm not that smart. Like, like you kind of like, I was sort of like, yeah, maybe it's her, but I knew it didn't feel right. And then Sailor Saturn came along, and I was like, yeah, that one. And then as I got older, I was just like, oh wait, I'm literally just Usagi Tsukino. It's fine.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, because I never like enjoyed school necessarily. It was just like, it's there. I'm not bad at it.
Yeah.
But I'm not like gung-ho. Like, I'm not Ami at all.
No.
Yeah. But I do like learning. But that's
exactly. Yeah. And I think Usagi does too, but like she doesn't have the right environment for all of that.
You know, that's a good point. Maybe she just doesn't have the right environment for the type of learning she needs.
I am only half convinced because I don't know enough about ADHD, but I feel like she probably has some form of like ADHD, you know, like she's just like hyperactive and, you know, will focus on one thing and then be bouncing all around the place. I think she just needed like teachers who cared about her like mental health. like most TV characters. Like most TV characters, honestly, and movie characters and book characters, they're all traumatized. But I feel like in the educational sphere, like no one, they're all just like, you're lazy and you're kind of stupid. And she's not. Like, she saves the world like 75 times. So like, I think if they'd like, she just needed like a different context for how she learned, I think. And she would have done much better in school, in my opinion. Yeah. This is recent rewatch. I was just like, they're just not giving her a chance.
Just so much more understanding,
you know.
Yeah, no, in my most recent rewatch, I think even more so, I've been thinking that too, because before I kind of gave into like that stereotype of her. But like I was like, I get it though, like I'm the same way. But then it's like, well, maybe, you know, she has a lot on her shoulders. She actually does step up to the plate sometimes. Yeah, and like life is hard, and she's 14.
Is so hard. She's only 14, and like I mean, she fails her like initial test or whatever, but there's after that, there's literally just like no way you can't be like, okay, but she's a superhero. Y'all are working her really hard. Of course she's failing school. Like, she wasn't great at it to begin with, and now it's getting worse because she literally patrols at night to like save the world from demons. Like, what do you want from her?
It's pretty hard to get good grades.
Literally, like, just because Ami can do it doesn't mean that everybody should be able to do it, okay?
Yeah. Completely agree. Speaking of that though, did you so you did a rewatch recently. I really enjoyed your Twitter thread. I'll try and link it.
It was too many. I didn't keep it all in one thread. It was just too many. It was just like every day it's just like, all right, I just started a new one. I can't find the old one. But it was definitely fun to rewatch it recently.
Yeah. Did you have any standout episodes or moments?
I don't know. I think just overall I was so glad to like just be able to watch this, you know, watch the redub, because obviously I've just like such specific memories of the dub, and then this is no secret to people who follow me on Twitter, but I hate the Cloverway dub. Like the voice actors for Serena was bad, and I didn't like it, and it like kind of soured some of that for me. And so to have like consistency was really like the major thing for me. I'm like, wow, I can watch the show from beginning to end, and the voices aren't going to change. That's wild. That's really great. And you know, I've heard some people who are like, oh, they don't like the voice actors and stuff, and I think they get better as the dub goes on. And so by the time like R comes along, I'm just like, this is great. Like, I'm having fun again. But I don't know that a specific episode like that I can think of right now, but I think I have a whole new appreciation for Haruka. I didn't really catch her, like, she's like the gruff one, obviously, but she's also like obviously the softie between her and Michiru. And so I don't know, there's just something about her, like her gruff like softness that I hadn't paid any attention to the first time around, probably because, you know, they were incestuous cousins or whatever. Right. Like, okay, like their personalities are a bit weird. Yeah. And so like I have a new appreciation for that. Yeah, exactly. It was the 90s. Right. So I have a new appreciation for that. And then just, I guess, just generally getting to watch stars, because I feel like at one point I like tried to do the like YouTube sub thing, but it was not good quality. I couldn't get into it. I just kind of skipped around a lot and then didn't understand what I saw because I skipped around so much. And so getting to watch stars and just like Usagi is so sad during Stars, and I didn't know
gosh.
that. I didn't know that, and I'm just like, wow. Like, obviously, I know that like Mamoru is away, and like, so that's gonna make her really sad. But I wasn't expecting the show to be like, no, she's depressed. Like, she has depression this whole
this
season.
Is a melodrama now,
right? Like, I wasn't ready. And so just like getting to finally see that, because like I've read so much fan fiction, and like know all, I thought I knew all of the plot points of Sailor Stars because I've read so much fan fiction, but there are so many things that I was just like, oh wow, this is like brand new information that I'd never been spoiled for. Like, not even just like, I obviously knew a lot of the big major plot points, but there are just like certain smaller things where I'm just like, oh, that's a cool like twist in the story, or this is like, oh no, they're all like literally dying, like I knew this happened, but like no, they're all leaving her now. So just like being able to sort of ride that like wave of the emotions that they intend you to have was really cool from this season, that I finally, however many years later, 20 years later, I finally get to finish this show that has like had a major place in my life.
Oh my god, I can't tell you how like excited I was when I got the final bootleg DVD in high school, and I was like, there's another season?
Right. I didn't know. I was just like, what am I missing out on? And I like, again, I do stuff from fan fiction, so I had a lot of pieces filled in, but watching like actually getting to watch it is really great.
Yeah, to this day, like that scene when Seiya is like, am I not good enough? Like,
I'm like, I'm sorry, but you're not. But that's fan fiction's fault. That's fan fiction's fault. Yeah. Because obviously he is the romantic rival in most of those. So it's just like, yeah, bye. But it is. I do enjoy the way they played it like better than I thought they would have. Considering he's like the romantic rival in all the fan fiction I've read. And so just like the way that he takes care of her, and like doesn't press, he presses and was just like, so I'm here and I'm available, but it's not the same way that I thought it would be like, no, you should just like date me. It's just like, I'm here, I'm your friend, and if you happen to want to do a little something, I'm here for it. Just letting you know, I just need you to know. And so I obviously I was going in knowing that I would have this like negative reaction because of like decades of fan fiction where it's just like, Seiya. But it turned out to be like much more sympathetic than, I mean, I was ready to I was opening my heart to that, but I was glad for it to I wasn't annoyed that my heart got opened to that.
Yeah, I was very hesitant at first. I was like, who is this person?
Who is this? Like, why are you here?
What are you doing? Yeah. And then by that moment, I'm just like, oh, poor Seiya.
Right. It's like he was trying. It was lonely. Yeah. He's got like a princess complex. Like, it's a whole thing.
Yeah. And I like
can't fault you for that, really.
For a second, I was like, I felt like he was a really good rival. Like, I obviously was still like Team Mamoru, but I was like,
they're like similar they're similar in personality in a way that I wasn't prepared for, and so it's sort of like you could see it, like you could see that she'd have fun and like all that stuff. Obviously Mamoru could, he needs a little loosening up, but he does need a little loosening up, so he needs her in his life. Right. She needs like someone to ground her too, so they balance each other out nicely, but I think Seiya also does in a different way, and I wasn't quite ready for that like kind of harmony there.
I think too, the thing that we see a lot more like fun interactions with Seiya and Usagi that we don't get to see with Mamoru as much, so that kind of gives them an edge. Because a lot of people will argue that they have more chemistry, but I think we just see them in more playful settings together. And like you said, like he's a little more loose than Mamoru is. But yeah, too bad he's not it.
Right, like Chibiusa, come on, like
yeah, I mean, that's like
Oh, that's one more other thing that I wanted to mention is that I was sad that the only time we see all 10 Sailor Senshi together is in the first part of Sailor Stars, and then Chibiusa goes away, and then like she doesn't come back, and I'm just like, okay, but y'all didn't really give us enough moments with all 10 of them like together. Like I just wanted more of that. Like we deserved more of that. Like all 10 of them fighting together. Chibiusa is there. We got that one moment in, you know, early Sailor Stars, but I was like, she doesn't even come back. Like they just send her off to the future. She just never returns. Her father is dead. His star seed has been taken. He has been dead for like 9 months, and she doesn't come up except for like half a dream sequence. I'm like, no.
I wonder if I think they were trying to keep it open because they were like, will Mamoru come back? Is
right.
he dead?
Exactly. It's like you can't tell if Chibiusa is there, but
right. Like
also Chibi definitely should just be related to this family. Like there's no reason why she's both the explanation in the manga and the explanation on the show. I'm just like, okay, but she should just be Chibiusa's daughter. Like, come on. Just you can't introduce this child. You can't just introduce this girl with this hairstyle and then be like, nope, she's not related to any of them. Right. Come on.
Just coincidence.
Okay. Yeah.
Chibi's so cute though. Oh
adorable.
God. So adorable. Yeah, I too was like so not related.
Like not at all.
She looks exactly like Chibiusa.
Like literally. And like you could even like, not that genetics matters on this show because whatever.
Blonde plus black equals pink.
Pink. Yeah, blue plus blue equals red eyes. Okay.
Right.
But, you know, she could be Helios and Chibiusa's kid. Like, it just makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with it. Make it fan fiction.
It's somewhere in there. It's somewhere in there.
It's canon somewhere. We'll talk about you, though, a little bit.
Okay.
You are a kids magazine writer. How did you become a kids magazine writer?
How did I do that? Just magic, I guess. You know, some Sailor Moon magic in the air. I was a communications major and never took any journalism classes and did not really know. I just knew that something with writing and maybe something with TV was what I wanted to do with my life. And I spent a long time after college, like, underemployed and, like, poor and like in student loan debt and like crying and being like, why is my life this way? So I wrote for free and sometimes paid a lot on the internet. And so I somehow, and I don't know how, I don't know why this woman hired me, but she hired me to be a writer at the New York Daily News. And again, I never took a journalism class except for like when they teach you about journalism, when you learn about other kinds of writing. And so I'm just like, I don't know how I did this, but sure, I'm here and I learned a lot. But it was not the environment for me. Like I'm not a newspaper girl, but also I'm not like a tabloid New York newspaper girl. Like there's a particular personality that can hack that environment, and I am not it. When I talk about taking Usagi's personality, like crying in the conference room is a very Usagi personality thing that I stole from her. And so I was like, I can't do this anymore. And there was a job posting and I applied for it and I was like, okay, I mean, you know, I'm kid friendly and like kids, and a lot of the things that I'm into are like, you know, E for Everybody or like kid friendly, you know, Marvel movies, and I'm still obsessed with Sailor Moon and Harry Potter and all this stuff. Like I like things that are kid centric and stuff. So I applied and somehow got it. And so I've been there almost 3 years, which is crazy to think about. And yeah, we, you know, explain things to children. Like we try to explain, you know, both simple things about animals and planets and plants and whatever, but also like I'm currently working on a story about the suffragettes and like trying to figure out how I'm going to explain to children that, you know, the historical people that we know aren't all good and aren't all bad. And so we don't only have a very short amount of space to write all these things in. And so it's basically taking a lot of complex ideas and trying to explain it to a kid audience without like talking down to the kid, and also like doing real journalism in the process. Like I write for a kids magazine and a lot of my articles are like 100 words, 150, like up to 400 words really. But I do just as much work as I would for, you know, a newspaper article or at actual Grown Up magazine or whatever. So we, you know, just like try to instill good media literacy and good just like current events and all that stuff. And I like a lot of the entertainment stories, so I get to talk to fun people. I emailed Elmo once.
That's pretty awesome. Also, Elmo has an email.
He has a talk show, so he needed to promote it. So he went on the, a little bit of a press junket tour. And I was just like, can you answer some questions for me? And so he emailed me some questions back, and I was like, this is very cool. Thank you, Elmo.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So jealous. It's fun. Yeah.
That is so cool. Also, I completely get. I also interned at the New York Daily News. Not that this is to become a Daily News slander podcast.
That's another one. We'll start that one tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll start that one tomorrow. But also realized wasn't for me. Like super fast paced, super like high stress. Yeah. And not for me. Especially I was at the breaking news desk for a month.
I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Every day.
I wasn't over there, but I already know.
Oh gosh, yeah. No, I did enjoy the features, which is like the entertainment section. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that's sort of where I was. I was on the like lifestyle features section. So
yeah, that was
articles
better.
about like health and science news and all that stuff, which was a good transition for my job at the Daily News. I mean, I work at Time for Kids magazine, right. And so that was a good transition for that. But I was just like, y'all are hardened tabloid journalists who are like jaded about everything, and I am literally a superhero princess from the moon. Like, this is not just like this imagine Usagi in a newsroom where people are like smoking cigars and it's like 1920. Like, she would have a terrible time there. That was me.
Yeah, no, I get it. I can be jaded sometimes, so I kind of like gelled with that, but also I'm just like, you guys are way too, y'all are stressing me out every day, and I don't like to be stressed, so I'm gonna go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. Well, on to funner things.
Yay.
You also edit for Black Girls Great. You do a lot, by the way.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like I don't, and then I'm just like, oh right.
You read your
like
Twitter
whenever
bio.
Anytime I'm like being lazy and like reading fan fiction, I'm just like, I should be probably doing something, and I'm like, well, I do like a million things, so I guess I could just like take this weekend to like not do anything. But because I also do so many things, I'm just like, there's probably always something I should be doing that I am not doing.
Yeah,
that's also a Sailor Moon thing of me. I'm just like always procrastinating. I love sleeping. I bought from Box Lunch the blanket that she has because I love the pattern, and rabbits are my Patronus. And I'm like, is that because of Sailor Moon? I don't know. I think it probably isn't because of that, but like probably like my obsession with space, like everything that I am into today. I like made a Twitter like post about it once, and I can't find. I'll find it later. But basically, like princesses, superheroes, time travel, rabbits, celestial things, the planets, stars, moon, like all that aesthetic, like rabbits, like literally everything that is in that show are things that I've gravitated towards in other areas of my life. I'm just like, this is insane. Like, it's basically the encapsulation of who I am as a person is Sailor Moon, like girl power and like the power of friendship and love. It's literally who I am as a person.
It's kind of scary. Yeah, it's the same for me. I don't have as much as an affinity for rabbits, but like space. Yeah, I've always been obsessed. And,
literally, my Twitter handle is Constar24. Like,
yeah. When you actually on your Twitter bio, you had Mooncore, and I didn't know that was a thing, and I googled it, and I'm like, this is what it is.
I only found out recently on Tumblr. I'm back on Tumblr because it's 2020 and anything is possible. But it was just like, I saw the word Mooncore and I was just like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, I did not know this was a thing.
Exactly,
but this
my vibe
is my life. Because like anything with a moon on it, I want it.
Yep, same.
Yep. But
what was the question? You had a different question and I veered completely off topic.
Oh, no, it was a great veer.
Fun things. Black Girls Create. Yes.
Black Girls Create.
So my pals at Black Girls Create has started a podcast, I think it was 5 years ago, called Wizard Team. So it's a Harry Potter podcast. Harry Potter is like the thing that I was obsessed with after I was obsessed with Sailor Moon. So while Harry Potter for a long time was like, and it still is like my thing, it wasn't the first like obsessive thing that I was into. That honor goes to Sailor Moon, but Harry Potter was sort of like the more mainstream like thing you could talk about. Like, I still wasn't like telling people how obsessive with Harry Potter I was. Like, people didn't know the detail and the depth, but everybody was reading Harry Potter, so it was like a thing you could talk about. I didn't know that many people watched Sailor Moon, so I didn't talk about it that much.
Right.
But anyway, they host a podcast called Wizard Team. They're two Black girls who are cousins, and at some point 5 years ago, I found this podcast kind of early on, like Sailor Moon fan club. And again, I don't remember who was like, you should watch this you should listen to this podcast, or like who put it in my sphere of influence, but it came upon me, and I was just like, Black girls talking about Harry Potter, like that's a new thing I've never heard of before. This fandom is very white. So I started listening to it and just like obsessively tweeting at them, like I do you, Victoria, just like about everything. Yeah, just like about everything about the show, about Harry Potter things. And then we just eventually became friends, and they were expanding their website. I've been on the episode, on their podcast quite a few times. And so they're, doing all sorts of cool things and fandom things. A lot of our focus is like fandom to creation. So like the idea of like you're obsessed with this thing, and a lot of us end up creating things in the things that we're obsessed with, and how do you pivot that into like an original work, or even something like this, like a Sailor Moon podcast and stuff. So those are all things that I thought were very cool. And so like I would edit essays about nerdy things and critical discussion of those, and a few like personal essays of people like their like nerdy lives or whatever. We do lots of different projects and events. blackgirlscreate.org is where all the stuff is, because we do so many things it's hard to keep up. But today we announced that we're doing an anthology like themed around magic and community. See, magic. It's a thing that I'm constantly obsessed with because of Sailor Moon. It all goes back to Sailor Moon. And so we're doing an anthology of like Black writers, whoever wants to submit to us, where they can, write about Black magical characters with the theme of community involved. So those are the things that we do over there. Yeah.
I'm super excited for that anthology, by the way.
Yeah.
And I'm like trying to brainstorm a story that I could
Please.
submit, but my mind is blank. So
it'll come. There's some time. Time. You have till the end of the year.
Oh yay. Okay, that is enough time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm super excited for that, and everything you guys do. It's
such
a
cool
concept.
Yeah, we also feature Black women creators, and I was like, Victoria would be a perfect person because I'm obsessed with Sailor Moon, and she's doing a Sailor Moon podcast. How cool is that? So I was like, let me email Victoria. Hi, you don't know me, but I would love to feature you because I'm obsessed with you as a person, because you're a Black girl who loves Sailor Moon. Like, that wasn't a thing that I knew existed. So I don't know why I didn't know. Like, it came on in the Toonami block at 4:00, like with like Dragon Ball Z or whatever. But for some reason, people weren't in my sphere, like here in New York City in the late 90s. Not that many people were talking about Sailor Moon. They were kamehamehaing all over the lunchroom, but people weren't talking about Sailor Moon like that. And so I was just like, oh, maybe this is just a thing that I am like deeply obsessed with. The first thing that I ever printed out from the internet at the library was about something about the Silver Millennium. I don't remember what it was, but I very specifically remember it was like some, GeoCities website.
Yeah.
And it was literally the first thing I ever printed at the library from the internet was about Sailor Moon. Because I was like, what do I need to look up? I don't know. Sailor Moon.
It's the only thing that matters.
Definitely, when I was 9 years old, it was definitely the only thing that mattered.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the first thing I ever searched either.
Yeah, like it was literally, I just for some reason remember the paper. It's just such a specific memory.
Yeah, I definitely printed out a few drawings and like
my background on my like very large IBM computer was always a Sailor Moon background. For the longest time, it was so in the Sailor Moon R movie, when they kiss at the end, for the longest time, it was that shot, but I'd never seen the movie. And so I was just like, had no idea where the scene came from. And then I finally saw it. I was just like, oh, that was my background like 3 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot too. Before, like, I would have stuff as my background, and then I would watch and like, oh, that's where that's from. Or
right. Or
even
it's
now,
like, this is like back behind the scenes drawings that they did,
Right. Or like figuring out like different artists that I like. I'm like, oh, this was this fan artist. Like, oh, this is from this artist. Or,
right. It's like, I've seen that around, and now I know who actually did it.
Right. Yeah. We were just like nameless, faceless creations. Oh. Yeah, that is cool. I'm super excited. All roads lead back to Sailor Moon.
They do.
And it will lead back for this next topic as well. You'll get that. You are also a big Doctor Who fan. Is that would you say that's the third thing you became obsessed with after Harry
Maybe.
Potter?
Probably. Yeah. It feels very distant right now because the show hasn't been on for a few months, which is crazy to think about. Like, it aired earlier this year and it feels like it hasn't been on for 2 years. But
I mean, 2020.
Right, exactly. 2020 has made time a construct. So
No
right now it's not. It's a pun absolutely intended.
Yeah.
But like my Doctor Who like obsession is very like tucked away at the moment because it's been so long and I don't know when the show is back and all this stuff. So but I think it probably was especially like the early Tumblr years, you know, like 2012 2014, there was a lot of Doctor Who going on in my brain at that time, which is probably around when I discovered the show, 2010 2011 or something like that, is when I discovered that. And so probably the thing after Harry Potter and Sailor Moon that just like holds like a deep place in my heart.
Cool. Awesome. So okay, so you already answered my question on when my first memory of watching it.
Yeah, that's all. I know that I watched the first episode of New Who and couldn't get into the accents and wasn't ready. I just wasn't mentally ready for it. I was just like, I don't understand. It was probably like a bootleg, you know, like a bootleg copy somewhere on the internet. And so I couldn't get into it. It wasn't good picture quality. And obviously still the first episode is not great picture quality. But I think when it came to Netflix at some point, I like finally like made it through the first 4 seasons. And I started watching it live after the 5th season was over. And so like I had to like hunt down, you know, the video files for season 5 because it wasn't on Netflix yet. And then I've been watching it since then.
Nice. And so I'm very new to this to the Whovian world. So it's New Who Eccleston, starting with Eccleston.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I did get to interview him recently. It was very fun.
I saw
like
that
2
tweet.
year,
Sorry.
yeah, like a year ago at Comic-Con, back when we could have conventions and do things outside.
Right.
And he he had a kind of falling out with BBC and like people on the show and stuff, and so he hadn't been involved in the fandom at all. And I think I was like his second or third like convention interview. He was very nice, very lovely. He had a book out, and so we talked about that. We talked a little bit about Doctor Who and like his like evolving feelings about it. And so I'm just like, maybe he'll come back someday. That would be really lovely. But he was very nice. Right, exactly. I was just like, well, I was wearing a shirt that had the thing, my logo on it, so I was just like, hi. Okay, yeah, you don't remember me. It's cool. It's whatever. You know how that goes. Yeah. It's like, no one remembers me. It's fine. I was just the interviewer.
I get it.
But yeah, it starts with Eccleston and then kind of goes on. Where are you in your watch currently?
I keep forgetting his name. I want to say Peter.
Peter Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi.
So 12, the 12th Doctor.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit into his first season. Yeah. About halfway through that. So I was hoping to get to the newest Doctor, but time, energy, things.
Exactly.
but I'm really enjoying it. I think I kind of just slowed down because I like Peter so far, but not as much, obviously, as like David Tennant and Matt.
Yeah. The episodes aren't as good quality themselves either. I know that season 8, the one you're in, has like a lot of rough episodes and like a lot of divided opinion on. I think, but like divided lukewarm opinion. Like no one's like it's the best season ever, and no one's like it's the worst one, but. It's sort of just like it's either really meh or you're like it's all right. Like they were getting there.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like I could either like I'll watch it and I won't be mad. Yeah, but like I could also not watch it and be okay. Exactly. Like I'm not addicted anymore. Like before, I was like binging seasons in like 2 days.
Yeah, in those early seasons, man, like up to 6, it's sort of like, and then they do a lot. There's a lot of I don't know how to describe it. Just like Stephen Moffat just kind of like goes off the deep end for a while is really what it is. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. It's just like, it's all Stephen Moffat's fault, is my opinion on that. But also, like, he has a lot of really great episodes, and season 5 is my favorite season of Doctor Who, because of the storytelling in that season. But by the time you get to 8, I'm just like, he probably should have hung it up. Like, gave it to somebody else for a minute. Maybe he just needed a break. Like, he just needed a break, but he was doing Sherlock, he was doing a bunch of other stuff. Like, there was a lot going on.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Not that Sherlock, I don't know. Like, Sherlock, it's funny that they were, like, happening concurrently, because, I mean, there are only, like, 6 episodes of Sherlock?
Right. Because, I think it's even less. It's like
because
3.
it's like 6 or 8, like, something like that. And it's because a lot of his time was spent doing Doctor Who, but also, like, it both kind of like get diminishing returns, because it's like, sir, you're doing too much,
right?
On both
it's also
things.
Like BBC, and they'll like let you get away with
exactly
that. Yeah, but we talked a little bit about everything. But who's your favorite Doctor?
Okay, I feel like it's
so
sort
funny.
of, it's kind of complicated, because like there are different reasons why you like certain Doctors. Right. I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I lean towards 11 being my favorite, because season 5 is my favorite season. But I think the 13th Doctor, the current Doctor, she's the most Hufflepuff. And so I lean towards her for that. And she's very delightful and loves her little fam of friends, of companions and stuff. And then obviously David Tennant is like, why we're all continuing to watch the show. Like, Christopher Eccleston is really great, and he's really good as the Doctor. But like, David Tennant made the show sort of like a global phenomenon. Like, that was David Tennant. And so like, when he was gonna be a new, I was like, what do you mean a new Doctor? Like, no, like,
this is it,
right? Like, we're not. What do you mean? Like, so, it takes each person a minute to be like, he changed the main character. Like, what kind of show is this?
Right?
Because you start to get attached,
Yeah.
And so, I do love all 3 of them, but I think it usually leans towards 11, because season 5 is my favorite season.
That makes sense. Yeah. Oh, wait, sorry. 11 is Matt.
Matt, yes.
Right? Okay, got it.
You've been binging so fast that it's hard to keep up.
It's all blur. But I had to count. I was like, okay, Eccleston is 9. Tennant is 10.
Tennant is 10. Yeah, that really helps. It really helps. It's also really funny. And about his this whole family thing with him, right?
Oh yeah,
like he married an actress who was on the show and played his daughter, but she's also like the daughter of the 5th Doctor, who was David's favorite Doctor. I'm just like, there's a lot of like fake incest in there.
Some Sailor Stars.
Yes, exactly. Just like the time, and then this one. Okay, all right. It's a full circle. Okay,
you're right.
It's a time loop.
Yeah, that is hilarious. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know it was his favorite Doctor. That is a really cool coincidence.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, what are you manifesting? Like, how are you doing this, sir?
What was your prayer?
Right.
That's what I need to know.
What do I say? What are the magic words?
Yeah, that makes sense though. And then, I mean, I don't want to give away spoilers, but again, like,
at this point,
Doctor Who is a blur right now. So season 5, I'm trying to think of like where it begins, where it ends.
It begins with the Doctor crashing in Amy's backyard.
Okay,
with, like,
so this
child
is his first
Amy.
season.
Yes, and then ends with like the TARDIS exploding in the sun, and River is there. River's probably my favorite character. She's so chaotic and great.
Oh yeah, I love her. I love her so much.
She's chaotic and great, and just like loves to rile the Doctor up. And like Amy and Rory get married at the end of that season, and I think the writing is really strong on that season, just like in terms of like time loopiness and sort of like things disappearing at the right moments, and then you're like, oh wait, that's been gone for a long time. Like, she had an aunt, and then like you never hear her talk about the aunt, and you're like, oh, because the crack in the wall, like things, you know, like they were able to make all these things make sense, and then they sort of like started to pivot it towards season 6, but then never followed up with all the things that they were trying to like tease. And so I was just like, come on. But season 5, they like teased all these things and were able to like loop it back around in a good way. And like some of it they left open because, as you do, you leave the mystery open. And then I felt disappointed in the way that they tried to like solve a lot of those things. But season 5 feels the best contained and has probably most of my favorite episodes. And then I think season 4 has followed that because Donna is the best.
I love Donna too. Yeah, River and Donna are probably my two favorites.
Yeah.
I thought I would like Clara more, and I'm kind of sad now because she had such a strong I mean, as Oswin.
Yeah,
I really liked her as Oswin.
Yeah, that first episode is good, and then they like give her 3 more different introductions, and I'm like, I'm confused, and so she never felt like she had a character after that to me. And so I think that I wish they had just stuck with like her Oswin personality and all that stuff, because then it started to get confusing, and then they kept going back and kind of get back and forth, and then sort of where you are, it's sort of like they're trying to figure out who she is again. And I think it's on an upward path to where she leaves at season 9, at the end of season 9. But
so she stays on for a little while.
And so like they do some interesting things with that. But her, like, again, Stephen Moffat was doing too much, and so season 7 was really messy. And then 8 is sort of like a new doctor, and then they still have to like figure out this companion that they never really knew what to do with. And so it takes them a minute to like get both of those things sorted out.
I do like Danny Pink so far. He's very he's
you've got some time to go. He's as we say on my podcast is Time and Relative Blackness in Space, aka Tarbis. He is not allowed on our Tarbis. That is mostly my co-host Bayana's thing, but it's not Danny's fault. It's the writing. The writing gets really dumb with regard to Danny. So just be alert for that. But Sam Anderson is very cute. So
he is very cute.
that works in his favor. Yes, it works very much in his favor.
I am so sad though that he's not allowed on the Tarbis.
Yeah.
But okay.
I'm just like, I might try. We could try to sneak him in there, but like his character like gets annoying, and that's not his fault. It's the writer's fault, because the Doctor Who writers don't really know what to do with Black people. They just don't.
That's sadly true. I mean, I guess maybe the actor can be welcomed on the Tarbis, but not
the character. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool, absolutely.
Yeah. Are you excited at all for the new Black woman Doctor? Because I mean,
it's confusing. I'm just because she's like the Doctor, but like how much will she actually show up? Like, I'm curious as to what they're like. I'm very wary about what their plan is. It's basically what it is.
That's fair.
But it was a very good episode to like be able to like experience live, and just like sort of see, you know, the fandom being like, what, you know, like it was one of the few moments that felt like sort of Doctor Who at its peak. Sort of like circa season 4, 5, 6, where it's just like this like massive like energy into the show, and so I'm really hopeful that they'll be able to continue that, especially with her presence, because this is so good, it's so cool, the actress is so good. Like, that episode the reveal was really great to be able to like watch that live. That was cool.
I am excited for it. I'm looking forward to catching up and watching live with everyone, so I can kind of enjoy these moments in real time and you know, be a part of the live fandom. It was so funny. I think I got to like season 5 or 6, and I was like, wait, like, am I a Whovian now? Like, do I have a new identity to like adhere to?
I think that's probably the place. Once you hit like 4 and 5, you're like, oh, I'm in it now. And like, even when you stop, like, even if you stop watching the show, like, you're still a Whovian. Like, those particular seasons, especially like at least up to 6, like, they just entrench in you when you like get into the show. It's just like, oh, I'm in it. And so even like, I quit the show at season 8. Like, I didn't watch season 8 live. I quit and then didn't come back until season 10, because they had a Black woman companion, and I was just like, okay, I'm back now. Y'all drew me back in. And then
doesn't take much.
I like caught back up or whatever, and I was just like, all right, I didn't need to watch these live. That's fine. But even when I quit, I was like, yes, Doctor Who is still one of my favorite shows. You know, like it was that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely up there. Like you said, like around that like 4, 5, 6 season era with like River and
yeah, it's like the height of the show, like global phenomenon, all this stuff, like crazy.
Yeah. And then, I was just like, am I Whovian? Like, do I need to start looking up merch? Like, is this a new thing I'm going to be buying stuff about?
Merch,
like,
yes.
I was just like, oh my god, I need
we
to
have Tarbis shirts. We have Tarbis shirts at dftba.com. I think it's .com. But yeah. I can send you a link.
dftba.com. All right.
I think it's .com.
Look at that later.
DFTBA Records. You'll find it. It's on blackgirlscreate.org as well. So you can find all our stuff there.
I will also link it in the description if anyone else is interested in some Doctor Who merch by Black people.
Yes.
Yes. You mentioned those seasons a lot too, but do you have a specific favorite moment?
Probably most things to do with River.
Fair.
Just like if she's on screen, even when the episode's not great, I'm still having a great time because Alex Kingston is just top notch.
Oh my god, she's so wonderful.
Yeah, pretty much anything to do with River.
Yeah. Anytime I say the word spoilers now, I just like
exactly like the change. Like she changed the word spoilers, like truly. Like
did.
It was a thing, and then she said it, and you're like, oh, I can only say it this way now. Got it.
Yeah, I actually had to fight myself to not say it the way she did it because I was like, it's not going to be as good. I'm not going to do it.
Spoilers, sweetie. It's spoilers. Great. It's always great.
Yeah. It's so good. And then I want to try a fun exercise. If we can match doctors with Sailor Senshi, and then starting from the new Who, of course.
Yeah. Okay, so I feel like if we're gonna go with 9, 9's kind of like gruff, but he's still able to have fun and friendly or whatever. I'm gonna I think I can pair him with Sailor Mars.
Okay, that's what I was thinking too, so I'm really happy. Okay.
Yeah. Tennant is he's like, there's some Ami in him because he's like smart. Like I usually sort him as a Ravenclaw. Like the way that he's like obsessed with cleverness. Very Ravenclaw to me. I'm trying to see, like there's something really sharp about him, but sometimes he's like really arrogant and kind of like scary's not really the word, but he's, you know, his hair trembles. Like there's that gif. It's just like hair trembles. Yeah. I wonder. It's hard to kind of place him, but I think probably Michiru kind of works for me here. Yeah. But I think another side. I wonder what the other side of him is. I don't know.
You know, for some reason, I have him pegged as a Usagi for some reason, just because like his ability to kind of switch between this kind of whimsiness, but also like the Princess Serenity, like serious, I'm going to end you.
Exactly. I see that.
Yeah, especially if we're talking like manga. Yeah, I think
that works for me.
He has that duality, plus like being like kind of mascots of their respective series,
and like he's so bouncy.
Yeah.
He's really bouncy in a way that Usagi is too.
Right. Yeah.
11 is a little bit Sailor Venus to me.
That's what I was also thinking. Oh, I'm so happy.
He's
I'm like on the same page
dramatic.
With you. Okay.
He's like dramatic and like kind of like goofy, but like has those like really serious moments where like where it's because he's so serious, you're like, wow, this is like a really opposite like sense of who you are, that like in the same way that Minako does. Like there are a lot of episodes where she is suddenly very serious or like sitting on the swings like by herself, and Artemis has to come and like cheer her up. Actually, now that I think about it, there are a lot of scenes where 11 like sits on the swings underneath the TARDIS console. Yes, it's perfect. It's just like so dramatic, but also like has this like serious, sad side that, you know, they kind of hide with their goofiness.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah. Okay. I'm so happy we're like same page.
I think 12 gives me like Pluto and Uranus vibes. Pluto because it's sort of like the lonely god kind of thing. Like the Doctor always has that, but he's sort of like the most like gruff and distant, but he has that Haruka side where it's just like, all right, if he really messes with you, he will like cheer you up and like really like ride or die for you, but he doesn't really mess with other people like that. It's just like, you can go over there, I don't care.
Yeah. We can, I mean, yeah, you said
you just started. Yeah,
I mean, I don't mind talking about 13.
Yeah, she is very Usagi in her like bubbliness, like interest in friendship and like having a squad who's like surrounding her. And she also has like those same like serious moments that all the Doctors do, because it's like, you know, trauma and like their backstory. But I think there's also like a Jupiter to her now that I think about it. Just like not that she's like tough. I think she has like Jupiter's like soft side where it's just like she's just like really wants to be there for you, and she's just like this quiet like homie who's just like, I'll make you cookies. Do you need some cookies? I have cookies. I love giving you cookies. I think there's a Jupiter energy to her. Yeah.
I love that. I'm so happy you're saying this because I really, for some reason, I wasn't looking forward to her because from the stills I've seen of her, she seemed serious.
No.
And I was like, after Peter, I was not, after 13, I'm like, I mean, after 12, I'm not really like looking forward to more seriousness.
Exactly. She's not, no. I think they're trying to like delve into that because it's part of who the Doctor is, but these first two seasons, she's very much like, what are we gonna do next? Like kind of like a golden retriever a bit. Like, I've got my fam, I'm gonna go off to these planets and save everyone with the power of love and friendship.
Oh, basically. I love it. I love it.
Basically, Usagi meets Sailor Jupiter.
Right. Oh, I love it. Oh,
so I
awesome.
think we kind of only didn't attach Saturn. And yeah, I think we only didn't attach Saturn to one. Yeah. But again, she's like sad and lonely. I think she also represents the Doctor really well because she's like this sad, lonely person who like doesn't know how to connect with other people and you know kind of has the power of like life and death in her hands. The Doctor has very big shades of that, just like, I am the last person and you know I'm the one who has to do this. There's always a moment where the Doctor's like, it has to be me. You have to go, it has to be me.
So dramatic.
And I feel like that's very much like, okay, it's time to like drop the glaive and just like destroy everything. It's only a last minute resort, but sometimes we always get to that moment and you're just like, there has to be another way.
I love how you say drop the glaive, like it's like a drop the mic moment, like drop the glaive.
That's the new thing now.
World stop.
World stop. Okay, so now anyone who's listening, if you want to Photoshop Beyonce with the silence glaive, please bless us with that.
And with the words world stop.
World stop. That's actually would be a really great Sailor Senshi attack.
Yeah, that would be.
World shaking, but it's just world stop.
I might make this happen, actually.
Please. Please.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I just looked over. I kind of like taking light notes, and I think you were right. That's the only one we didn't match up. I think Pluto kind of applies to the Doctor in general.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that's just like
this like lonely, again, the lonely god just like left alone at the doors of time, just like shouldering the weight of like time and space on her shoulders and being like, okay, there are a lot of rules. You have to follow them, and then no one following the rules, and her being like, come on, guys. Right. Like, I told you there are rules, and no one wants to follow them.
No one's listening.
But then she's like the first one to break the rules when it comes down to it.
Right. Supposedly, like, guarding this, like, gate of time and then
right.
like leaves.
It's like, gotta go be human. It's just like, oh, she comes as a human in like I guess Stars is where she's like they kind of like make her a person. Like when she shows up in S, she's not really a person. She's just like in her human form. They don't really give her like things to do and an identity. Like she has her name, but she doesn't do anything. But then she shows up in Stars and it's just like she's a physicist or an astrophysicist or whatever her title is. And she's a grad student and she's like into fashion and like all this stuff that's like in her like manga like bio or whatever. Right. And so it's like, oh, now she's a person. But it's like, it always breaks my brain trying to figure out like, okay, so when were you a person? And when, like, it didn't seem like this was like a new personality to her. Like, is she born? Like, was she born at some point? There's like, I think in Sailor Moon Crystal, it's like she was a child and Queen Serenity was like, you have to stay here. And I'm just like, well, that really sucks. But like, is she born? Like, was she reborn like the rest of them? I don't think so. But like, she has an existing personality. Like, is there magic involved to making people like know that this person exists? Like, I just have a lot of questions about her human identity and how that comes to be. And then like, is there another Pluto always at the gates of time? Like, what are the rules here? I need to know the rules. I don't need to know the rules, but I'm just curious as to if someone has thought of the rules. I
feel like she abandoned the game of time. She was reborn.
She was pissed off. She was just like, forget it. They don't appreciate me here anyway.
Right.
Mamoru don't love me. Mamoru don't love me. Right. Chibiusa is in the past anyway. Might as well go see her. Yeah. And it's like, I guess I made new friends, so I'm gonna stick with them and take care of Hotaru, you know, be a little Outers family. It's like...
You know, I'm cool with it.
It's fine. Yeah, I love the Outers little family. It's very cute.
It is.
And it's sort of like, at least they have each other now, especially with the way that like the manga, especially like just like, why would they just be on their planets by themselves? Like a lot of the planetary stuff doesn't quite, they never really explain a lot of that stuff. It's just like, you know, there's Usagi and the Inners on the moon, and it's like, so what's happening on all the other planets? Like, there are people, I guess, but they never really get into like what happens to those people. Are they still there on those planets? Because other planets exist with people on them, right? Or like alien creatures and stuff that have like giant flowers that suck all of your energy out or whatever. Okay. And so it's just like, you know, those random questions that you think of when you've been a fan of Sailor Moon for 20 plus years. Just like, I've thought about these things a lot. I've read a lot of fan fiction that has played with, you know, X, Y, and Z aspects of it. I'm just like, but did they care? Did Naoko and like the people who like adapted it into the TV show, did they care? They were just like, who cares? No one's going to pay attention to this. Right. No one's going to think about this question. And it's just like, okay, but it became a global phenomenon and is now like famous world over. Like, I'm sorry you weren't prepared for this, but now I have questions.
We have questions. Yeah, no. There's a lot of questions I have, and I really feel like, I don't know why there hasn't been more. Right, like, it's been a long time, and I just feel like, you know, they've just did all the Eternal, like, manga collection. Like, I don't know that I want more Sailor Moon. Like, you know, I don't need it to, like, reboot or whatever. They've already, like, redid, you know, the anime or whatever. I think that's that's a better choice than, like, trying to continue the story. But I think I would love for them to, like, fill in some things. I think I do. Shorts. Yeah, like I enjoy the idea of like us getting to choose a lot of this stuff and like what happens in the future, like how they get to Crystal Tokyo, like. But I also want to know what they think, because like just because they come up with stuff doesn't mean that my headcanon goes away. And so I'm just curious, like, what do you think? Like 20 years later, like what is your take on how these things happen? Like we'll talk about like how the show happened and like, you know, the impact of Sailor Moon and all that stuff, but like Naoko Takeuchi, what are your thoughts on like, just what are your thoughts? I just want to like sit down and be like, okay, so what were you thinking was happening when they get to like, how does Crystal Tokyo happen?
Okay, so like, what does that look like? Like my favorite era is Crystal Tokyo. It's just partially why R is my favorite season. And I'm just like, but what is that? What does it actually look like? Like, like the monarchy. Like, how does it work? Like, what are their titles? Like, fan fiction's always like trying to assign like the inners into like, you know, political positions or whatever, which is cute and fun, and I love that. But I'm just like, okay, so, but what was your actual like vision? Like, did you have one, or did you just like? Like, in the future, she's a queen. I love that. Let's just keep going with it. Let's not explain anything else. She's just the queen of the world. Yes, the entire world.
Yes.
Like, does Usagi Tsukino exist as a person? Like, do they all know that she was that person? Or do they think just, like, Sailor Moon is now their queen?
Like, what happened to her human parents?
Where's her parents? Like, why doesn't Chibiusa, like, I guess there's like magic in like her forgetting everyone because they all look the same. There's no reason why she went to the past and was like, hey, Sailor Mars, how you doing again? But like, yeah, and like, are the Sailor Senshi like people still? Like, the Sailor Mars, is it only that she's Sailor Mars, or is she still Rei?
Yeah, like,
and like, how do you change your husband? How do you change your husband's name? Like, your wife's name, like that. Ma'am, like, you just call him a different thing now? You just call him Endymion for the rest of his life? Like, you called him Mamo-chan for, like...
She's queen of the world. She can do whatever she wants.
Like, in private, like, is that, like, their title? But, like, in private, they still revert to their old names? Like, I'm gonna stop asking questions because we can go on for another hour with the questions that I have about Sailor Moon. But...
No, yeah.
Those are my thoughts.
I did a whole, like, post for CBR of, like, different reboots. Or not reboots, but, like... different spin-offs Sailor Moon could do.
Could be so many.
So many, yeah. Like, just like, what happens between the end of season 5 and the beginning of Crystal Tokyo alone?
Literally just how does Crystal Tokyo happen? Just give me some more shorts, like you said earlier. Like, we could do shorts in the Crystal Tokyo era. Like, just like, what does their relationships look like? Like, has it changed? Are the outers involved? Like, they don't appear. What's Molly up to?
Where's
Molly and Umino? What was his name? What was his name in the dub?
Melvin.
Melvin! I kept thinking it was something like Greg or something, but I'm like, Molly and Melvin!
No, Greg is Ray's guy. The guy who joins. I forgot what his name is in the Japanese.
No, it was Chad.
Oh, Chad, you're right.
It was Chad.
Oh no, Greg is. Oh my god.
Greg was Ami's. Yes, that's what
guy.
it was. Yes, Ami's guy.
Who turned into the rainbow crystal monster.
Yes, Riichiro or something like that.
Brain.
Yeah. We're just like, someone is Greg.
I will say, though, whoever came up with those English dub names, they did a great job.
I think some of them are okay, and some of them now
questionable.
I can't go back. So, like, she's always Serena in my head, but, like, she's also Usagi. Like, I've accepted, you know, the change and can do back and forth, kind of. And Darien is classic. Like, I can't, it's really hard for me to go to Mamoru sometimes. Serena and Darien just, like, rolls off the tongue really well for me. But again, I was 9 and obsessed. So, like, and of course it was. It imprinted on me. I think Amy is fine. Ray was super easy. Lita and Mako, I'm curious as to where, like, who decided, how did they decide, like, what was that meeting like where they sat down and was like, this is how we're going to change these names. And I just, Mina, Minako, fine. And then they got to the outers and it was just like, all hell broke loose. Just like, okay, so her name is Hotaru, so we're going to keep her name. But Amara... where the heck did Amara come from?
Yeah, I don't
Where
know.
did that come from? I don't understand. Michiru and Michelle, fine. For a long time, I didn't know how you said Michiru because I'd never heard it said before. So I was like, is it like Michelle? Like, is it the CH is like Michelle, but it's the hard... Okay, got it. Trista? What is a Trista? Really what is a Trista? I don't know.
I don't know what a Trista is.
And so I obviously was very used to them, and then some of them I can still rock with, and some of them I'm just like, what? Lita? Like, if I see Lita in a fic, I have to close out now. I don't know what it is. I just have to close out now, unless it's something that I'm reading for, like, pure nostalgia's sake, which I haven't really been able to do yet, and just, like, read something that's, like, really old fandom, like, because most of the time these days people use their Japanese names, which is like what I've gotten used to. And so if I see the name is Serena, I'm like, unless this was written in 1998, like 2001, I really feel like I can't read it because I'm just so used to, like, I've like committed to the other direction because for so long I was just like, no, the North American names. So I'm like committed to the other direction now. I'm trying to,
Yeah, no, I try hard to commit to the
but sometimes that's just Darian.
Original
like
names.
Darian, what are you doing? Like, why are you being like this?
Yeah, so it's like when you get mad at him and you tell someone by like
Darian.
their other name.
Exactly. It's just like, come on, Darian.
Right. Ugh, it's like, when you like him, he's Mama.
What you mean you're going to Harvard? Darian, you don't need to go to Harvard. Right. Come on, bro.
What are you doing?
It's a terrible decision. You want to leave your girlfriend in Japan? She's 16 and like a savior of the world. Like literally, boy, Darian, why?
Yeah. But I liked all the names except for Amara and Trista. Those are just like,
those are weird.
I don't get it. Lita still I think is fine.
Yeah.
But I think it's nostalgia mostly.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But Trista makes no sense. Like Pluto, who just looked at Pluto and is like, huh, she's lonely, she's sad. It's Trista.
It's like, let's be a little bit on the nose, like 2 on the nose. But those 2 over there, they're totally cousins. That's right. That's how you hold hands with your cousin, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Clearly they were not in their right mind.
It's like you can't make the episode too much shorter, so there are certain times where I'm just like, so how short were they tempted to make this episode? And they were like, we can't cut this or else it'll be 10 minutes long. It'll be 10 minutes long if we cut them like having hand sex, so let's just make it that they're cousins holding hands.
Right.
Weirdly.
Yeah.
Erotically.
Because that's better.
Oh, man.
Well, we can clearly go on about that for a really long time.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you, though, what advice would you have for anybody who wanted to become a writer? You do a lot, I guess, a podcaster or a just creator in general.
I think writing is sort of the main center one. And I guess it's sort of just like, you gotta do it, which is like the thing everyone says, but like you have to get something on the page. Like you can't edit nothing, which again, like these are all like cliche things, but it's sort of like a thing that I've recently gotten into trying to tell people who want to create things is that like it has to be edited. Like it's not going to come out first, like perfect the first time, like obviously, but it has to be edited by something else. Like nothing that anyone has written, like very few things that anyone has written that has been published in a book, in a magazine, in a newspaper, in the liner notes of a CD, like very few things are printed without someone else editing it. Like writing is such a solitary process often, but it's very collaborative. Like when I was super into like being a TV writer, it was just sort of like, what do you mean you want me to write this spec script by myself? The whole job of being a TV writer is writing in the room with other people. Like, what do you want me to do here? Right. But even like writing a book, it's like you have multiple editors. They do, general edits and line edits and copy edits and all these things. And so I think part of it is just like getting it down on paper, but at some point you have to give it up to someone else to read it. Like it doesn't have to be, a scary editor at, a website or a magazine or whatever, because that can be terrifying for sure. But like a friend, someone you trust, someone who will look at it and, I mean, yes, say all the good things that exist about it, but like give you constructive criticism, because it has, like, if you want anyone else to read it, you should trust someone to read it, to edit it. And I think that part of the process is often not really talked about, like that, just like getting to the editing process. Like it's sort of like, yeah, you write it and then you fix it, you revise it, and then it goes out in the world, and that's not actually the case. And so getting comfortable with someone else reading your stuff is I think an underrated part, not underrated, but like under-discussed part of like the process, because I don't mean like getting anyone else to read your stuff is very big, and that's the scary part. Like people are just like, just publish it, like put it on the internet, sure, but you have to be comfortable with someone like looking at it to help you fix it. Like they're not trying to bring you down. Like the general public might, and that's definitely a fear, but I don't want people to be afraid of the editing process because it hurts. It is painful. It sucks. You will avoid that Google Drive notification that's like, someone has edited your work, and you're like, no. But
yeah, that's a scary email.
It's very scary, but it's, I think, often better than you having published that, which you should do. But it's better than like 1,000 people being like, this really sucks. Because the person that you trust, whether a professional editor or a friend, is going to want to make it better. You don't have to listen to everything they say, because sometimes they don't know what they talk about. But they
don't have your vision.
They don't have your vision, and that's fine. But it's still like the baby step to getting it to the rest of the world is to get someone you trust or who you think will make it better, to make it better, you know, to like look at it. Like, you have to get comfortable with that part, because for a long time I didn't really know about that part of the process. Like, obviously you're in school as a teacher, but like, you know, I was writing on the internet for free a lot, and that means people aren't really editing what you put on the internet. So, you know, you get to a point where you're sort of self-critical and like learning how to edit yourself. And I've always kind of considered myself pretty decent at that. I don't like baby myself. I'm like, this sucks, rewrite this. Like, I would yell at myself in my notes or whatever. But, you know, part of, you know, publishing anything, if you want to be an author, if you want to be a screenwriter, if you want to be a journalist, like any kind of writing, there is that middle step of like getting it to an editor, and learning to be okay with that process is something that you have to try to get yourself used to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I say this a lot, but like, cliche advice is cliche for a reason.
Yeah.
I think I even said that on the Black Girls Create interview, because it's so true. And even as like, I'm trying to write right now, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is so bad. I'm so bad at this. This is horrible. What am I doing?
But you're gonna think that every time. You think that every time, and then you read something later, you're like, wow, it wasn't that bad. Partially because you rewrote it and like you edited it yourself, but also. Usually, obviously that's not always the case. I've read things that I've written on the internet. I was like, oh wow, I edited that. It's still really good. But, you know, someone else had to look at it in order to like make it even better. Like this good thing that you remember. So
or sometimes you have to like, you know, write it and then look back at it. And
exactly. And like, once you get that distance, you can be that editor. But sometimes it does have to be another person, guys. At least one.
Definitely.
It's really helpful. It's really helpful to get that perspective of like what at least one other person thinks this thing looks like or is, so that you can, you know, go accordingly into the world. If they think it sucks and you don't, but like you know that at least one person is kind of like not feeling it. So if you put it out into the world, that might be the reaction. It prepares you, you know, for all sorts of situations.
Yeah.
And also it's like literally just like a thing that I was not used to. I was just like, wow, they rewrote this whole thing. It means I suck. That's not what it means.
Yeah, it's not a fun feeling.
You know, like, it's not a fun feeling, but it's also not what it means. Like, literally the first thing I wrote for the Daily News, I swear, like, by the time they printed it, the only word I wrote was the word bees. It was like some article about bees or whatever. I don't remember exactly what the article was, but I wrote it and I sent it off, and I was just like, yikes. And then I looked at it when it like made its way online and they put it in the paper, and I was just like, I wrote the word bees. Like that, none of those sentences were what I wrote.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that makes me feel terrible. But I needed that to sort of like understand like what they wanted, and you know, the editing process does suck.
Yeah. No, but, I mean, like you said, it doesn't mean it was bad. It
doesn't mean it was bad. Wanted. Yeah, exactly. You have to like learn how to like write towards the place that you're at. And so that was a lesson that I had to learn because I hadn't learned it before, which is why I like to tell people about it.
Yeah. I had a similar experience because my first internship was at a magazine, and before that, the only thing I got was like, I learned was newspaper style writing from like, you know, school.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the journalism they teach you. So I was just suddenly have to write like this like flowery language that's like very different. And I don't know, whatever I turned, it was not what they printed. The same thing. I don't even know if like maybe only the word like the is the one that I wrote. Like I don't like, it was so different.
It's like, and it's
I
in a different place than the way I put it.
As a clip.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, I did not write this.
I didn't actually
but my name
this.
is there. And I can't claim
but
this.
But again, like we both have that experience where it's like early in our career, it's like, okay, and I definitely didn't write this. But now where I am in my career, it's like, I wrote some of that.
Right, yeah.
And they still like words. Yeah, they did some of those words. They still employ me. They still give me money. So that must have did something right, you know?
Right.
Otherwise they just did it themselves.
In the Teen Vogue piece I published earlier, they didn't change much, and I was just like, "Are you
That is
sure?"
the best feeling. It is the best feeling. You're like, you're keeping all of it.
I was skeptical.
Like you didn't rearrange it at all. Like,
I'm like, are you sure?
Did you read it?
Yeah.
You're just publishing it, right? Like you didn't read it
again.
You didn't read it. It's fine. Like let's go over it.
I like addressed comments and like you know. And there might have been some like there were some minor edits, but like most of it was kept. And I was just like, I was like, you sure you don't want to? That one sentence was kind of though, right? Like, you sure?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man, but that is a good feeling. But okay, we were talking a lot, so
I know. I was just like, wow, this is gonna be really long. Sorry.
No, it's completely fine. It's fun. But second to last question is for you to create your Sailor Moon Says phrase. So, you know, at the end of every episode, Asagi had her Sailor Moon Says. So what would yours be? So Sailor Constance says, or just Sailor Connie says.
Sailor Constar.
Sailor Constar, yeah.
It's funny because this is the only thing that comes to mind. So it's probably not my permanent one, but it is the one that comes to mind. Is that on social media sometimes, and I'm not good at like consistently tagging it, but I'll do like Constance Vigilance says, because again, like the Harry Potter meets Sailor Moon, my two biggest obsessions in life, coming into one thing. But I get because I'm a journalist now, it's just like I get mad about media literacy and bad media literacy skills on the internet. And constant vigilance from Harry Potter is just like, you know, stay woke, stay alert for like the things you need to do, and then my name works, blah blah blah. And then Sailor Moon says, so if I'm like tweeting about media literacy, I'll just be like, Constance Vigilance says at the end. I'm not consistent with it, but it's just recently my thing because I'm a big dork.
Love it.
But I guess it's something like Sailor Moon says to like check your sources and please stop. Like there are websites that you know are sketchy. Don't use them. Please check the sources that you're sharing. Entertainment news, political news. If we can't do it for entertainment, we're definitely going to struggle at it for more serious topics. And so I like to use entertainment as like, please check your sources, like make sure that you're sharing it from the right place, double check your where you're sharing this information from, because things will go viral and then it's not true, and then everyone's like, I don't understand, I thought that this was X, Y, and Z. It's like, yeah, because you shared an article, like 75 people shared an article that they had no business sharing because no one checked to see that it was incorrect or not founded like source wise. So something like check your sources.
No.
Constance Vigilance says, check your sources, please. Practice good media literacy.
Yes. I am all for that. I also feel the same way, so yes.
And I'll just say it, don't reshare We Got This Covered. I hate that website.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I hate them. They're my negaverse. Just like, why? Like y'all, come on. Please stop sharing from this one website, because they throw things at a wall, and sometimes it sticks, but it's not some inside source. It's just like everyone kind of thought that was going to happen. It just bothers me because it's like, oh, they're doing a Proud Family reunion. For like 3 years they were tweeting about that, and now it's like a thing, and they're going to get credit because it's like, we reported it first. No, just like people said that there was going to be like, this is not new information, you know, like you just threw that off the wall and got lucky. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, everything's getting rebooted now.
Exactly. Like it wasn't a hard get.
Right. Yeah, they've been pushing that like last Friday movie for like the longest. And I'm like,
and like it might happen someday, but not because you reported it. It's just like, this has just been what people have been saying for years.
It was just bound to happen.
Right.
And well, thank you.
Thank you for having me and letting me talk a very long time about Sailor Moon and Doctor Who.
Absolutely. It was awesome. And what's next for you, and where can people find you? Or where do you want people to find you?
Yeah, I am working on a Black Girls Create anthology with the theme of magic and community. So we want Black people's like fantasy short stories. And if you can write a poem if you want. If you have other ideas, you can hit us up and we'll consider it. But we want to highlight diverse voices and just like read some really fun Black magical stories. Like that's really what it is. So you can find that at bgcanthology.com. You can find Black Girls Create stuff at blackgirlscreate.org, and you can find me most places, but especially Twitter at Constar24.
Awesome. And thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I've been so excited. I was just like, oh, I want to be on that podcast one day. Now's the time.
Now's the time.
And then I'm just going to scam my way back. It's fine. I'm just going to scam my way back onto your podcast. Okay, great.
We left a lot on the floor. Like,
we did.
Yeah, we still, like, next time we'll have to match companions with Sailor Senshi.
Yes.
And, I'm sure there'll be a new obsession at some point.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. And I don't know. Yeah. I'm sure there'll be something else.
Oh, we have much more to talk about.
Yeah, we didn't get to the movies, Sailor Moon movies.
We did it. We were going to talk about that.
We'll get to it next time.
Next time on Sailor Moon
Fan Club Podcast.
Yeah. It's like, let's transition to the end. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I got you.
Thank you. And once again, I'm Victoria L. Johnson, and you can find me at Miss Old School. That's Old School with a K. And you can find the podcast at Moonies Club on Twitter and Moonies_Club on Instagram. And we also have merch now.
Get the merch. I haven't gotten mine yet because I shipped it to where I'm going to visit my family. So I just like shipped it straight there because I was like, obviously I'm going to wear it. But I'm very excited for my crop hoodie. I'm just very excited for this crop hoodie.
Oh my god, I'm excited for you. Thank you so much for ordering.
Yeah, it's really good merch.
Thank you. Yes, it's mooniesclub.com. So if you guys want to get merch, you can go there. And yeah, and post your pictures and tag us at Moonies Club. And that's it.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Bye, guys.